My House of Horrors Chapter 701 to 710. Seeing the lack of reaction from everyone, Wang Dan frowned deeply. He knew very well that any visitor who had visited Chen Ge's haunted house would not say something so naive. Is this the first time all of you have visited this haunted house? Wang Yan had a very bad feeling in his heart. Mr. Shinozaki and I have just returned to China. Mr. Shinozaki is planning to change his career and challenge a whole new genre of comics, so he came to this haunted house for inspiration, the female assistant said softly. She was not that brave, and even before entering the scenario, her voice was already shaking. We saw on the internet that this haunted house has such a high rating, so we came here directly after we got off the plane. Do all the haunted houses in China have to go through some kind of procedure before visiting? Don't listen to him. The reason this haunted house has a high rating is because of a bunch of ignorant people. The popularity on the internet only means that the boss is good at marketing, the person who came in with the feminine man said. The person who came in with the feminine man said, compared to us haunted house creators who put their heart and soul into creating the haunted house scenarios, writing the scripts, and designing the various traps, this Chen fellow can only be considered a businessman. A businessman? Wang Yan almost laughed from anger. He wanted to clamp his hand over the man's mouth. If Chen Ge heard what he said, the difficulty might be raised to a level where no one could survive. He can only trick students like you. We've been in this business for many years, and we know the whole process very well. The man wanted to say something else, but he was interrupted by the feminine man. Stop wasting time. If the actors inside the haunted house hear this, it won't look good. They might think we're here to cause trouble. As hot-tempered as Shinozaki was, with his age, he immediately realized that something was wrong. You guys also run a haunted house? He did not have a good impression of these people who cut the queue, and he soon understood that this was a competition between people in the same industry. The three of us are the employees of the biggest haunted house in Shanghai, Nightmare Academy. We've been in the business for 7 years, and we were the first batch of people to do this. The three introduced themselves. The most arrogant man was called Wei Jinyuan. He was the youngest script designer at Nightmare Academy. His main job was to design the corresponding plot and traps based on the scary scenarios. The shortest, who was as tall as Shinozaki, was called Li Shu. He looked weak and fragile, and his main responsibility was to create small props for Nightmare Academy. He was very skilled and knew how to use various tools. The last man with a feminine face was called Li Changyan. His nickname was Iceman. He did not like to speak, but he was the most acclaimed actor at Nightmare Academy. At the same time, he was one of the core workers at their haunted house. This person was not old, but he was the most experienced of the three. Weren't the four of you together? Wang Yan saw another person huddled together with the three employees from Nightmare Academy, so he thought that the person was also an employee from Nightmare Academy. He is a famous streamer from Shanghai. He is very famous on the internet. His popularity is much higher than the boss of this haunted house, or rather, they are not even on the same level. Wei Jinyuan wanted to continue the introduction, but the host frowned. You guys continue to dawdle here. I'll go in and take a look. After saying that, the male host carried his bag and walked into the haunted house alone. This person seemed to be very courageous. Hey! When Wang Yan saw the male host walk into the haunted house with his head lowered, he quickly ran over. Do not wander around alone. Also, I'm not joking, please do not livestream inside this haunted house. You will drag everyone down with you. The male host ignored Wang Yan. His eyes were shining as he looked around like he was already imagining how many viewers he would attract if he live-streamed inside this haunted house. This male host knew about the popularity of Chen Ge's haunted house online. Entering this haunted house, especially since he was exploring a new scenario, the effect would be explosive. Whether it would expose the interior of the haunted house or not, whether it would affect Chen Ge's business or not, that was not something that he cared about. After understanding the male host's attitude, Wang Yan's scalp went numb. What kind of teammates had he run into this time? It was one thing that they were all newbies, but more importantly, they refused to listen to orders. They did not care about their own lives at all. If you want to die, then go ahead. I'm not going to play with you anymore. After saying that, Wang Yan grabbed his girlfriend's hand and turned to leave. Wang Yan, what are you doing? His girlfriend thought that Wang Yan was being ridiculous. Let go of me. I have no problem visiting the new scenario, but going in with them is asking for trouble. I plan to back out. Wang Yan had come to the haunted house to vent the unhappiness in his heart and to embarrass the male student. But the situation had completely changed. Before him was a bottomless abyss. If he fell into it, he would not be able to climb back up. Are you medical students so cowardly? The sports student teased. I thought you would be braver than normal people because you come into contact with dead bodies often, but looks like I was overthinking it. Hearing that, Wang Yan was so angry that his face turned green. He did not know who to turn to for help. Gritting his teeth, he was also a hot-tempered person. In the end, he coldly snorted and retreated. All right, then let's go in and take a look. Don't force yourself. I've heard people pee their pants when they visit the haunted house. The sports student joked, thinking that he was being funny. That won't happen. Wang Yan replied lightly. He knew that Chen Ge's haunted house usually scared people until they fainted. There was no chance for them to react. Stop talking. Wang Yan's girlfriend advised, and only then did Wang Yan quiet down. He regained his focus and scanned all the visitors, but the more he looked, the colder his heart became. There was not a single reliable person among them. The visit time is 40 minutes. Enjoy it. Wei Jinyuan walked beside the male host. If you're afraid, you can come with us, but that will be boring. I'm used to analyzing things from a professional perspective. For us real haunted house creators, we can see through all the traps and settings with one glance. For example, this window in front of us. Wei Jinyuan pointed at the glass window a few meters in front of them. The window is not locked, and the glass is purposely made to look like it is broken. When we pass by, something will definitely crawl out to scare us. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Softly and quietly, Wei Jinyuan stood beside the window and pointed at the window next to him. Then, he poked his head out to look inside the window. If there was a haunted house worker standing inside the window, they would have been scared by him. Jinyuan, stop it. You've scared the worker, and he'll come after us when we get out. Li Shu yelled at Wei Jinyuan to stop him, but after he said that, Wei Jinyuan did not reply. He leaned against the window, and his upper body was leaning into the room. He did not move like his body was being held by someone. Wei Jinyuan? Li Shu frowned and ran over to pat Wei Jinyuan on his back. What are you looking at? Shush, be quiet. I saw an actor hiding. I think I scared her. Wei Jinyuan smiled and yelled into the room, come out, I can see you. When Shinozaki and the female assistant heard that, they ran over to take a look. The room was dark, and there was no one there. So, this is an empty room. The female assistant's arms were covered with goosebumps. Are you sure you're not mistaken? On the surface, it looks like an empty room, but there are hidden paths inside. In other words, they are the workers' passageways at the haunted house. The actor that I saw earlier is probably hiding inside the passageway already. Wei Jinyuan scratched his neck and continued to move forward. There are only a few tricks that a haunted house can use to scare people. It's easy for you to clear the scenario. Just stay close to us. Wei Jinyuan and Li Shu walked side by side down the narrow street, and they kept scratching their necks. Mr. Shinozaki, shall we follow them? The female assistant was very timid. The more people, the safer it is. Shinozaki nodded subconsciously. He kept staring at Wei Jinyuan's neck. Xiao Xia, do you see a birthmark on his neck? It looks like a human slap. Birthmark? The female assistant was not that sensitive to color, and she did not pay attention to the changes around her. I don't know. Perhaps he already has one. Sir, this is his privacy, don't you dare ask him. Of course, I'm not a child. What kind of adult would give themselves a pen name like that? The female assistant grumbled softly as she hurried to catch up to Wei Jinyuan. The line was stretched. The 3 employees from Nightmare Academy and the host walked at the front, while Shinozaki and the female assistant walked in the middle. Wang Yan's group followed closely behind them. The man in the trench coat stood alone at the window like he was looking for something. It's time to go. Wang Yan kindly reminded the man in the trench coat, but the man merely waved his hands like he thought Wang Yan was a nuisance. I really don't understand what is going on in these people's heads. Wang Yan took a deep breath. Seeing the other visitors walk away, he suppressed the anxiety in his heart and chased after them. When Wang Yan's group of 3 caught up, Wei Jinyuan stopped. The boss has provided us with 4 clues outside the scenario, and each clue corresponds to an escape method. There are 10 of us in total, and it's a waste of time and inefficiency to stick together. Therefore, I suggest we split into 2 groups to explore. What do you think? The junction is before us, and the 4 messages must be arranged on different routes. We'll split into 2 groups, one to the left, and the other to the right. We'll keep in touch with our phones and report our progress. Wei Jinyuan's attitude was arrogant, but he was an expert in haunted house design. The interior of a haunted house will not be useless. Every room here might have hidden traps and actors. Just follow behind me, and it's best if you don't touch anything inside the room. How about you and Cold Man lead one group, and the host and I go on the other? Li Shu glanced at Wei Jinyuan. He felt like the man's body was not that coordinated. No problem, we'll do that. Wei Jinyuan did not ask for the other visitor's opinion. It was as if entering the haunted house was his territory. You're lucky to have run into us. Okay. The female assistant dragged Shinozaki to Wei Jinyuan's side. This is our first time visiting a domestic haunted house, so we don't know many things. We'll have to trouble you. Li Baofu did not say anything like he was thinking about something. The female assistant knew about his weird personality, and he had just argued with Wei Jinyuan's group. She thought that he was embarrassed, so she did not ask. It's decided then. The 4 of us will leave first. Wei Jinyuan raised his phone. See you at the exit. See you at the exit. Li Shu watched as Wei Jinyuan's group walked down the left corridor before he turned to walk to the right. We have our own business inside the haunted house. If you want to follow us, then follow us. If you think we're unreliable, you can leave at any time. Li Shu was quite annoyed with Wang Yan. His attitude was very bad. Instead of following you, I'd rather lead them. Wang Yan planned to leave with his girlfriend, but his girlfriend felt that it was safer to follow Li Shu. The 2 had a disagreement, and in the end, Wang Yan was isolated. It could not be helped. Even though Wang Yan was quite brave, he could not bring himself to challenge a 3.5-star scenario alone. Why didn't you just follow us like this? Don't you think it's so childish to say all those weird things to show off? The student did not point out any names. He seemed to be talking to himself, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Childish? Wang Yan raised his head and glanced at that person. He instinctively wanted to refute him, but just as the words were about to come out of his mouth, he suddenly realized that everyone, including his girlfriend, seemed to think that the specially recruited student's words made sense. In a situation like that, there was no point in arguing anymore. Wang Yan cleverly kept his mouth shut. He had been very childish before, but after being trained by Chen Ge's haunted house, he had been reborn. As if he had made up his mind, Wang Yan obediently followed behind Li Shu, looking like he had finally admitted defeat. You should have done this earlier. It's like you've never visited a haunted house before. The special admissions student and Wang Yan's girlfriend followed at the back of the group. The 5 of them entered the tunnel on the right. The 2 teams officially separated. After they left, a faint mist drifted out from the street, and a figure walked through it. With 10 people gathered on the street, it was very crowded. After half of the group was gone, there was a large empty space. There's no background introduction, no plot design, not even a sign. It's a miracle that this haunted house has survived until now. Wei Jinyuan could not understand why a haunted house like this would become so popular. Perhaps the visitors are just curious. After all, there hasn't been a haunted house with such a high degree of freedom on the market before. Li Changyan touched the wall. But there is something strange about this haunted house. I've looked around, and all the buildings in this scenario are the same as in real life. The materials are cement and bricks, and it feels very real. If he doesn't use plastic and wood to build it, what will he do when he dismantles it? Does he plan to keep this scenario for the rest of his life? Haunted house visitors love the new and hate the old. They'll get bored after playing a scenario once. Building it with cement is too expensive. Wei Jinyuan shook his head. We can't compare. He has the support of New Century Park, and with the park's support, we can only rely on ourselves. There was a hidden meaning in his words. As if to test Li Changyan, he added, "Didn't the futuristic theme park find our boss? How's the negotiation going? Do you think there's a chance we can open a branch of the futuristic theme park?" They have a different mindset from us. They think a physical haunted house is boring. They only contacted the boss because they want us to provide them with experience and scenarios. After all, they don't have anyone who specializes in haunted house design. After Li Changyan said that, Wei Jinyuan's mind started to race. The number of visitors at Nightmare Academy was dwindling, and there were so many negative reviews on the internet that they could not finish deleting them all. The reward for the core employees came from the ticket sales. Without visitors, naturally, they would not get any money. From Wei Jinyuan's perspective, instead of staying at Nightmare Academy, he might as well join the futuristic theme park. The other party needed talent to design a haunted house, and he had plenty of experience in that field. Looks like I'll have to put on a good performance today. Only by proving his value would he be able to ask for better conditions. Wei Jinyuan was a very practical person. Li Changyan grinned at his companion's sudden enthusiasm. Perhaps it was because the man had played the role of a ghost for too long. His every move was weird, and he looked different from a normal person. However, Li Changyan could not tell what was wrong with him. The female assistant was standing very close to Li Changyan. When she accidentally saw the man's expression earlier, she subconsciously slowed down like she was spooked. Wei Jinyuan noticed the female assistant's reaction and comforted her. "Beauty, Cold Man is our most professional haunted house actor. If you have the chance to come to our place, he will show you what real terror is." "I think I'll pass." The female assistant smiled awkwardly as she slowed down to stand behind Shinozaki. "It's not that I'm trying to brag, but when Cold Man visited a haunted house before, he entered it without any makeup, and he managed to scare all the actors inside the haunted house. Be it a ghost or a cold-blooded killer, he is very good at acting. Every expression he makes is like an actor." Wei Jinyuan was very relaxed. When he turned around, Shinozaki's eyelids twitched, and he suddenly asked a question that he did not want to answer. "Did you put on some makeup for this visit? I don't care what kind of grudge you have with this haunted house's boss, and I don't care whether you're here to cause trouble or not. I just want to ask a simple question. You think we're here to cause trouble? To put on makeup and come here to cause trouble?" Wei Jinyuan laughed with condescension. "You think too highly of his haunted house. In other words, you didn't put on makeup. Shinozaki wiped the sweat from his forehead. Okay, that's fine. After Wei Jinyuan walked several meters away, the female assistant took out a wet towel from her bag and handed it to Shinozaki. Sir, the air conditioner is on, and the temperature is so low. Why are you sweating so much? Are you not feeling well? Remember the way we came. When we have a chance, we'll meet up with the other group. Shinozaki wiped the sweat from his forehead. His fingers gripped the wet towel, and he looked nervous. We should stay away from these two. Why do we need to stay away from them? The female assistant did not quite understand what Shinozaki was saying. The person who poked his head through the window earlier had 2 purplish-black marks on the back of his neck. It was as if someone had scratched him with their hands. I asked him earlier, and he said that it wasn't his own makeup. But it could be a birthmark, right? The female assistant thought that Shinozaki was a man of his word. Didn't we tell you earlier? Don't intrude into other people's privacy? That is definitely not a birthmark. Shinozaki looked at Wei Jinyuan. I remember it very clearly. Initially, there was only a mark the size of a palm on his neck, but after a few steps, there was another one. Shinozaki raised his hands and gestured at his neck. The 2 handprints appeared on the back of his neck. It felt like something was riding on his neck and strangling him. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. A light fog had appeared inside the abandoned small town, and shadows moved among the eerie buildings on both sides. The temperature dropped again, and she could hear the voices of women and children. However, when the female assistant tried to listen closer, she realized that she was surrounded by silence. All she could hear was her own heartbeat. Sir, you're not kidding me, are you? The lighting was dim, and with the light fog, the female assistant did not see the handprint on Wei Jinyuan's neck. Could it be the work of the haunted house's workers? When Wei Jinyuan poked his head through the window, did the workers apply some kind of special dye on his neck? We've seen similar dyes overseas. The color itself is light, but when the person sweats, the color will turn darker. I still don't get it. I have a feeling that the haunted houses here are different from those overseas. When I visited haunted houses overseas, I didn't feel this nervous. Shinozaki held his hand over his heart. There is no blood or body parts in this place, but walking through it, there is a strange sense of pressure. Like there are countless pairs of eyes staring at us at this very moment. In any case, I don't believe something like a man riding on your neck, but this is a good source material. You can draw it into your own work. The female assistant thought that Shinozaki had been under too much pressure recently, and he was in the art business, so he had such a scary thought. Speaking of his own comic, Shinozaki's eyes lit up. Whether it's real or not, this is indeed a good source material. Alright, let's follow them for now. With them leading the way, we'll be much safer. Shinozaki's personality was like that. He was obsessed with his own things and devoted himself to them. It was also the reason why he was able to grow from a homeless Lee Baofu to a top-notch manga artist, Shinozaki Orochi. The underground was dark, and there was only some weak light coming from the surrounding buildings. However, when people got close, the lights would suddenly go off, and they would only come back on after the visitors left. Interesting. Looks like the haunted house uses many new technologies, like sensor lights, fog machines. Wei Jinyuan tried to use his own knowledge to analyze the haunted house, and his analysis was clear. Just as he was about to continue walking forward, his phone suddenly rang. He looked down and saw that it was Li Shu calling. When he picked up the phone, he wanted to ask about Li Shu's situation. How are things on your side? Did you find any clues? Quote, I feel like this haunted house is more boring than I thought. We've searched a few rooms, but they are all empty. There are no traps or actors. Li Shu's voice came from the other end of the phone. When I came here, I asked around. This haunted house has opened several scenarios in such a short period of time, so it's impossible for them all to be perfect. Also, did you notice that this scenario has a 3.5-star difficulty? It sounds like a half-finished product. Perhaps the Chen fella was pressured by the futuristic theme park, so he decided to open the scenario before it was fully built. Wei Jinyuan walked down the street, and the number of rooms on both sides increased. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Talk again in 10 minutes. We will continue to look for clues. Li Shu hung up the phone. Are you sick? We've only parted for less than a minute. Why are you calling me? Wei Jinyuan pocketed his phone and scratched his neck. He kept feeling an itch at the back of his neck like he had been bitten by a mosquito. The corridor became narrower. After walking another 10 meters, Li Changyan saw a wooden board hanging on the wall next to him. There was a sentence written in blood on it, "I am among you." They've started to play psychological tricks. What a boring trick. Wei Jinyuan took out his phone to snap a picture of the wooden board. This is the first scare point that I've encountered since I entered this haunted house. I can't believe a haunted house with such unreasonable scare points managed to become so popular. Don't be too careless. What the board says might be true. Li Changyan's face was still cold. I've seen the analysis online. Some people suspect that the haunted house's boss has mixed actors with the visitors to confuse their judgment. Of course, that is just speculation. No one has any proof. It doesn't matter. Wei Jinyuan turned the board over, and Dong Li Apartments was written on the back. This place should be the residential area. The second clue provided by the haunted house's boss is inside the residential area. We should run into something here. Li Changyan nodded, and the two entered the small courtyard with the wooden board. Sir, don't just stand there. Come over here. The female assistant urged. Shinozaki stood outside the courtyard. He looked at the wooden board on the wall like he was thinking about the sentence on the board. Do you think there's really something among us? Shinozaki's voice was hoarse. He looked around. Perhaps the atmosphere of this haunted house is on point. I have this feeling that something is off. Shinozaki and the female assistant followed behind him into the residential area. Almost as they stepped into the residential area, several shadows flashed behind them. There were 3 buildings lined up in the residential area, and they were labeled number 1 to number 3. Strange noises came out from the buildings like children holding something and tapping on the glass. Other than the old look, it feels similar to our old city. Wei Jinyuan looked at the mottled walls and stopped before the first building. Should we go together or separately? The things hidden in these 3 buildings must be different. I'll go alone. You take the 2 of them. Li Changyan walked into the 3rd building alone. His figure soon disappeared, and only his footsteps could be heard. Such a hothead. Hopefully, he won't scare the actors at the haunted house. Wei Jinyuan turned back to look and saw Shinozaki and the female assistant still standing in the middle of the residential area. What are you doing? Stop wasting time. I'm sorry. We'll be right there. The female assistant pulled on Shinozaki's sleeve. Sir, it's time to go. Okay. Shinozaki stared at the grass that was half a man's height at the edge of the residential area. There was no wind, but the grass at the corner was shaking like there was someone lying in it. Without getting close to the grass, Shinozaki, the female assistant, and Wei Jinyuan entered the first building together. There were water stains on the ground, and the walls were cracked like gaping mouths. The corridor led downward. The light was dim, and they could only see half-open doors. How many floors are there down here? Wei Jinyuan took out his phone and switched on the flashlight function. The light pierced through the darkness, but it did not give him a sense of security. If anything, the more he saw, the scarier he felt. White powder kept falling from above, and there were palm prints on the rusted railing. The pressure grew heavier, like a large rock was pressing down on his heart. Scratching his neck, Wei Jinyuan pushed open the door of the first room. There was some old furniture inside, and it looked normal. Even though he said that he was not afraid, once he entered the room, he became much more cautious. Carefully, he checked every place that could possibly have a mechanism, but after searching for a long time, he didn't find anything. This was just a very ordinary room. Is the boss trying to use this method to disturb me? Wei Jinyuan inspected the other rooms on the first floor. There was not even a scary prop, much less a haunted house actor. Is this haunted house's boss crazy? Why did he build a few empty rooms to be used as decorations? If not for the fact that they were built inside a haunted house, Wei Jinyuan felt like these rooms could be rented out as cheap apartments. He followed the stairs to the second floor. It was the same layout, but the difference was that there was a dark corridor on the second floor. This corridor connected the three Hope Towers. Wei Jinyuan turned to the other side of the corridor and called softly, "Cold man? Are you there?" He could hear footsteps, but he could not see anyone. Cold man has gone to the third floor. That doesn't make sense. He's so close to me. If he hears my voice, he'll definitely answer me. Wei Jinyuan's forehead was covered with sweat. All the buildings on the surface were probably a disguise. The real scariest things were underground. These buildings are interconnected underground, just like an underground labyrinth. He looked down the corridor, and the chilling air came from everywhere. This place was obviously different from the outside. Pushing open the door closest to him, Wei Jinyuan used the light from his phone to look around. The layout of the rooms on the second floor is similar to the first floor. What is the boss's purpose in designing this? I have no idea at all. Wei Jinyuan had been trying to understand what was so scary about Chen Ge's haunted house and why it would attract so many visitors, but he had not found anything since he entered the place. Pushing open the doors, just as Wei Jinyuan was about to give up, he suddenly realized that one of the doors was different from the others. The door was covered with tape, and the peephole was also covered with tape. Something's wrong. Wei Jinyuan peeled off the tape on the door and slowly pushed it open. The room behind this door was indeed different from the others. All the furniture was covered with tape. Looks like the clue is hidden here. Wei Jinyuan peeled off the tape on the shoe rack and looked inside. There were 5 pairs of shoes inside. One was a pair of ladies' high-heeled sandals. One was an old lady's cloth shoes. And the other 3 were men's shoes, and they were all different sizes. Are these shoes some kind of puzzle? Wei Jinyuan picked up the shoes and studied them for a long time before giving up. Is the boss some kind of psychopath? He came up with a bunch of useless things. Does he know how to design a haunted house or not? The more he looked, the angrier he became. Wei Jinyuan realized that many of the furniture in the room were covered with tape, and he could not do it alone. Hey! You two, come and help me. Did you find anything? The female assistant and Shinozaki ran into the room. And when they saw the room that was covered with tape, they were given a fright. Tear off all the tape. The clue should be hidden in there. With Wei Jinyuan's direction, the few tore off the tape on the cupboard, drawer, bed, and door. They rummaged through the cupboard, but they did not find anything. Is the boss toying with me? Wei Jinyuan was getting more and more agitated. He scratched his neck, and the itch on the back of his neck intensified. The two of you stay here and tear off all the tape. Don't miss anything. I'll go down to the lower floor to take a look. Wei Jinyuan left Shinozaki and the female assistant behind and left alone. The lowest floor was even dimmer. Without a flashlight, one would not be able to see clearly. This floor was different from the upper floor. There were 2 corridors on the left and right. One corridor connected the other 2 units, and the other led to who knew where. Wei Jinyuan took a deep breath. His fists tightened, and his palms were drenched in sweat. He turned to the left side of the corridor, and there was a blurry human shape standing against the wall. Li Changyan, instead of calling him by his nickname, Wei Jinyuan called out Li Changjian's full name. He raised the flashlight to shine at the spot where the figure was standing. There was no reply. The figure was not Li Changjian. How come it feels like Cold Man disappeared after entering the building? He was only several meters away. If it was not Cold Man, then it had to be one of the workers. Wei Jinyuan raised the phone and rushed forward. Normally, the actors at a haunted house will hide in the corner or hide somewhere, waiting for the visitors to pass before jumping out to scare them. But what's with this man? Why is he standing in the corridor like an idiot? Is he afraid that people won't know he's there? No matter how hard Wei Jinyuan tried to yell at him, the shadow did not move. When he got closer, he realized that something was wrong with the shape of the figure. The figure's body was slowly changing, and it looked more and more like his own body. This was a very strange experience. It was like he was standing behind himself and looking at his own body. Wei Jinyuan's Adam's apple vibrated. He finally walked to within 3 meters of the man. After adjusting his breathing, Wei Jinyuan was about to speak when the phone that he held before his chest suddenly vibrated. F***ck. Cursing. Wei Jinyuan lowered his head to accept the call. Before he could see the name on the caller ID, when he lifted his head again, the shadow before him had disappeared. Where did he go? Hello, Jinyuan, I found a map of the small town. There's a place with a red cross on your side. Talk to you later. Wei Jinyuan hung up and used the flashlight to look around. You just called me, and now you're calling me again? What's wrong with you? Where did he go? In the time it took for him to raise his head, the person before him had disappeared. He did not hear any movement. It was like he had disappeared. I didn't hear any footsteps, and the doors on both sides are open. He probably hid inside one of the rooms. Wei Jinyuan walked to where the shadow had been standing earlier. The room closest to him is 1 meter away. How many times has he practiced to be able to hide in one of the rooms in the blink of an eye? Wei Jinyuan looked into the room. The structure of the room was no different from the other rooms, but there were many bloodstains on the ground. For the sake of visual impact, most haunted houses used bright and colorful blood stains, but the blood stains inside this room were a strange brownish color. It was as if a murder had really happened here, and the blood was left behind many years ago. It had seeped into the building and could not be cleaned up. Did he run into this room? Some rooms were crowded with people, and one could feel the human presence once they entered, but there were also rooms that made one's hair stand on end. Until now, no one had been able to give a reasonable explanation. That was how Wei Jinyuan felt. There was no sign of human presence in the room. It was like an ice house for dead bodies. Come out. I can see you. Wei Jinyuan yelled into the room. But all he heard was his own echo. He took a few more steps into the room, and the bloodstains increased. All the blood has coagulated inside the building and not just smeared on the surface. How did he do that? Walking past the living room, Wei Jinyuan stopped at the bedroom door. This place has the most blood stains, so the secret of the room should be hidden inside. Pushing open the bedroom door, Wei Jinyuan gripped the phone tightly, and cold sweat poured down his face. The room was filled with glaring blood stains, and at the end of this blood stain stood a woman in red. She was facing away from Wei Jinyuan, and her head knocked lightly against the wall, creating a strange sound. Running to the third basement floor alone, standing inside a hidden room that looked like a murder scene, and standing before him was a strange woman covered in blood. Anyone would be afraid of such a scenario. Wei Jinyuan scratched his neck. His back was drenched, and his Adam's apple moved as cold sweat slid down his forehead. He had been looking for the actors at the haunted house, trying to understand why it was so popular, but when he saw the actors in person, for some reason, he felt guilty. He could not explain the reason. The woman was standing several meters away from him, but his heart was unsettled. Is it the effect of the environment or the makeup? Wei Jinyuan's heart was pounding. and he used a whole minute before he calmed down. Throughout the whole process, the woman just stood beside the wall and showed no intention of coming over. Similar to the shadow that I ran into in the corridor, they don't appear to actively scare people, and they don't know how to hide. Are the actors at this haunted house too confident, or are they worried about something else? Are they afraid that they might scare the visitors too much, so they use this method to scare the visitors? Wei Jinyuan's mind was a mess, and he slowly moved forward. The hair on his body stood on end, and his body instinctively wanted to run. Every step required a lot of courage. "Hey, are you an actor at this haunted house?" His voice was shaking involuntarily. Wei Jinyuan kept reminding himself that there was no need to be afraid. The woman was just an actress, and after removing the makeup, she might look very cute. The woman did not answer. Her arms were crossed before her chest, and her back was facing Wei Jinyuan. Her head was leaning against the wall, and she maintained a strange posture. "You're not going to answer? Fine, I'd like to see what you're up to." Walking in the room that was soaked in blood, the floor rustled. It took Wei Jinyuan 10 seconds to walk the short distance. He stopped next to the woman and poked his head out to look at her. The female ghost, who was dressed in blood-red clothes and was filled with resentment, had her hands placed in front of her chest as if she was holding something. The clue wouldn't be inside the ghost's arms, would it? Wei Jinyuan's eyes widened. This haunted house's boss sure is a scumbag. He hid the clue at a place like this. If the clue was with the woman in the red dress, the visitors had to get close to the female ghost to get the clue. If the visitors were too afraid to get close, then they could only be trapped inside the scenario or search for new clues. "Fortunately, I'm quite brave. You can't scare me." Wei Jinyuan gathered his courage and reached out to grab the few pieces of paper that the woman was holding in her hands. Just as he was about to pull them back, the woman's head that was leaning against the wall slowly turned. Her body remained in its original position, and even her neck did not move. Only her head was tilted to one side. His face was deathly pale, without a trace of blood. His facial features could be considered exquisite, but those two pitch-black eyes were somewhat frightening. The woman in red did not seem to understand what Wei Jinyuan was doing. Her eyes were filled with resentment, but when she saw the black hair on her wrist, she calmed down. And she's even wearing pure black contact lenses. If not for the fact that I work at a haunted house and know these makeup techniques, I might really be scared by you. Wei Jinyuan pulled the few pieces of paper away from the woman's hands. He used the light from his phone to read them. Haunted houses worker rules. Cannot have physical contact with visitors. Cannot harm the visitors. Should they faint, they should be sent to the underground morgue. Wei Jinyuan flipped through the few pieces of paper, and his mind was filled with question marks. What is this? Where's the clue? He lifted his head to look at the woman. The woman was still in that strange position. Her body was half an inch away from the wall, and her head was leaning against the wall. Her eyes stared at the papers in his hands like she was waiting for Wei Jinyuan to return them to her. That's it. Wei Jinyuan held the few pieces of paper. You're a haunted house worker, right? Is there something hidden between the lines? The woman had no idea what Wei Jinyuan was talking about. Her patience was slowly being worn down by Wei Jinyuan. Her dress was dripping with blood, and there was a faded scent of blood in the air. Oh, there's a second transformation? Wei Jinyuan looked at the blood dripping from the woman's dress and forced himself to calm down. There's a blood bag hidden inside her dress. But that's too unprofessional of you. Haunted house workers focus on speed, precision, and accuracy. You're so slow that the visitors are already prepared. Wei Jinyuan actually had no idea how the woman managed to do that. He kept talking to hide the anxiety in his heart. Looks like just finding the clue isn't enough. I need to decipher the secret. Wei Jinyuan felt his neck itch more and more, like something was sitting on his shoulder, shivering. He even felt a pulling force pulling him backward, like something was telling him to leave as soon as possible. Is this a psychological hint? What is it that's hinting at me? When I came here, I saw many people saying that the boss is an expert in psychology. Looks like I've fallen into his trap without realizing it. Wei Jinyuan held the phone in one hand, and the light from the phone shone on him and the woman next to him. His other hand held the few pieces of paper. What's the problem? It's not that scary, so why is my heart beating so fast? Being shown on by the light and having her workers' rules taken away, the woman's face started to turn red. She felt like the man was purposely trying to humiliate her. The smell of blood in the air thickened. The viscous blood slid down the dress, creating a dripping sound. Wei Jinyuan was still thinking. He felt like he had walked into a strange circle. From the moment I entered the haunted house, there were several empty rooms. There was no decoration, much less scare points. There was not even the symbolic sign of blood. Why would a haunted house like this give me such a feeling of unease? What is the source of this indescribable pressure? I think I can smell the scent of blood. Is this an illusion, or is this some kind of psychological hint that he has placed on me? None of the questions had an answer, and everything was a mystery. Wei Jinyuan scratched his neck and frowned. The environment is complicated, and it gives people an indescribable sense of horror. The clues are also very strange, and it is very confusing. While he was still thinking, the paper in his hand was grabbed by another pale hand. What are you doing? Wei Jinyuan lifted his head to look. His mouth was half open, and his expression froze. The woman who was originally standing next to the wall, her body was still standing far away, but her head had disappeared. The uneven cut, the blood that kept flowing, this scene was like a hammer that smashed into Wei Jinyuan's brain. He felt like he had been struck by lightning, and multiple currents surged through his blood vessels. Where's the head? He could confirm that the actor standing before him was a living person. The exquisite facial features, the rich expression, and the disdain that seemed like she was looking at a piece of trash was definitely not something that could be created by a prop. But such a living person's head had disappeared in the blink of an eye. Give me back my stuff. A woman's voice came from his shoulder. Wei Jinyuan turned his head mechanically, and he soon saw something even more shocking. The woman's head was connected by blood vessels, and it was resting on his shoulder. When their eyes met, Wei Jinyuan felt like his heart had stopped, and all the blood in his body rushed to his brain at the same time. Help! He screamed at the top of his lungs. With one hand holding the phone and the other holding the few pages of the worker's manual, he ran out of the bedroom at the fastest speed that he had ever run in his life. Give it back to me! Give it back to me! Resentment swirled around her, and thick blood dripped to the ground. The woman in the red dress chased after Wei Jinyuan. The blood vessels and black hair tangled together, and the woman hugged her own head as she followed behind. Running down the dark corridor, Wei Jinyuan had no time to analyze the situation anymore. There was only one simple thought in his mind: run. He even forgot to look at the road as he ran down the corridor. Gasping for air, he had no idea how far he had run, but the vibrating phone in his hand woke him up slightly. His heart was about to jump out of his chest. Wei Jinyuan turned to look at the screen, and the caller ID said Li Shu. He was like a drowning man grasping at the last straw that could save his life, and he clicked on the answer button madly. Jinyuan, it's the same thing from earlier. We found another piece of the map, and after piecing it together, we realized that the direction that you and Coldman were heading to is an extremely dangerous area. Before Li Shu finished, he was interrupted by Wei Jinyuan. Shu, come and save me, save me. Slow down. What's going on? Wei Jinyuan wanted to slow down as well, but when he turned around, he saw the woman in the red dress with her head separated from her body. She was waving her hands, and under the guidance of her head, she was running toward him. Come here quickly. There's a woman here. She doesn't have a head. She doesn't have a head. Wei Jinyuan screamed at the top of his lungs, and his face was twisted from fear. No head? Special effects actress? Tell me more clearly. Don't come up with no head or tail. It's confusing. It's not that I'm confused. This is so f*c king confusing. Wei Jinyuan's voice echoed down the dark corridor, and then the phone was hung up. Ridiculous. On the other end of the phone, Li Shu stood where he was, holding the phone. When Wei Jinyuan had screamed earlier, Li Shu and the people around him had all heard it. What's wrong with Xiao Jin? The male host seemed to be familiar with the few workers from Nightmare Academy, but there was no concern in his tone, just curiosity. Xiao Jin is very brave. To be able to scare him to the point that his voice changed, it means that this haunted house is quite something. Everyone, be careful. I didn't hear what Jinyuan was saying earlier, but I know there's a headless woman. Seeing his partner so scared, even Li Shu felt embarrassed. Ignore him. Wei Jinyuan is a designer at my place, and he doesn't come to the haunted house often. He's the most cowardly among us. Stubborn duck. Wang Yan had heard Wei Jinyuan's scream for help earlier, and he was a soft-hearted person. I advise you to listen to me. Stop using the phone and go back the way we came. We won't be able to clear this scenario with a bunch of newbies who don't follow the rules. If you're really that good, then leave on your own. Don't shamelessly follow us. The male host ignored Wang Yan. After what happened to Wei Jinyuan, he was feeling strangely agitated. Wang Yan stopped arguing. He used a voice that only he could hear to grumble, "If I leave, who's going to collect your bodies? Stop arguing. This haunted house is indeed unique to be able to scare Jinyuan. Now that we've found 2 pieces of the map, we should be able to escape soon." Li Shu was responsible for the design of props and traps at Nightmare Academy. He had been in this business for 5 years, and he had a lot of experience. With one glance, he could tell which parts of the haunted house had hidden traps. Because of that, he was able to find some hints that Chen Ge had hidden in Liwan City. A haunted house could be difficult, but there had to be a possibility of clearing the scenario for the visitors to find the game interesting. Those hints were the opportunities that Chen Ge had given the visitors. With the map, they would be able to avoid some extremely dangerous areas, like the woman in the red dress at the 3rd underground floor. Such an arrogant person had been scared to the point of wailing in just a few minutes. This created a certain amount of psychological pressure on the other visitors. Come on, let's move forward and see if there's anything else. Li Shu put his phone away and held the 2 pieces of the map in his hands. It feels like this haunted house is trying to wear down our patience. When we lower our guard and start to get agitated, the workers will suddenly appear to scare us. That's probably how Xiao Jin got scared. The male host looked at his watch and then exchanged a look with Li Shu. Li Shu understood immediately. He nodded and said, "After we enter the next building, we should temporarily split up. This is too inefficient. After we finish searching the whole building, we'll meet up at the entrance." Without waiting for the others' agreement, Li Shu and the male host entered the building before them. "Let's go together," the specially recruited student, Zhang Feng, said. The specially recruited student, Zhang Feng, said, but Li Ju and the male streamer acted like they did not hear him. They disappeared into the building. "Let's go in as well," Wang Yan said lightly. He had a feeling that Li Shu and the male host had some ulterior motive for entering the haunted house. "Are you sure?" Initially, Zhang Feng was not that afraid, but when he heard Wei Jinyuan's voice on the phone, he started to panic. The building in front of us looks like a small hospital. The hospitals inside a haunted house should be the focus of the project. "Are you afraid?" Wang Yan did not even look at Zhang Feng and walked into the building. "Afraid? Who are you looking down on? I don't believe a haunted house can be more exciting than bungee jumping." Zhang Feng looked at the wooden sign that said Li Wan Private Hospital. He suppressed the anxiety in his heart and followed Wang Yan and Wang Yan's girlfriend into the building. Li Wan Private Hospital's main color scheme was white. It was the most eye-catching and unique building in the small town. Pulling open the rusted iron door, the corridor was littered with yellowed patients' records. Picking one up randomly, it had words like terminal illness, death, and malignant infection written on it. The glass windows creaked noisily as the wind blew. The doors of the sick rooms were all open like the dead patients had returned and would come out at any moment. There were finger marks on the door frame, and unknown plants crawled on the walls. Large pieces of the ceiling had fallen off to reveal strange patterns that looked like human faces. This hospital was one of the scariest scenarios in the small town, and it was using its unique attitude to welcome all the visitors. The floor was cracked, and walking on it created a sound. In this place of silence, even the slightest sound would be very scary. Where has that Li Shu guy gone? They only came in 10 seconds earlier than us, so how did they disappear in the blink of an eye? Wang Yan's eyes were serious. He stood in the middle of the waiting hall and looked at the two corridors on the left and right. He wanted to determine the direction of the two through the cracks on the floor. However, to his surprise, there were signs of people walking down both corridors. There were 7 or 8 footprints alone. Other than us, there are other people inside this building. Wang Yan stared at the footprints on the ground and hesitated. He knew very well that the actors at this haunted house were very good at scaring people. Any one of them could drive someone crazy, and there were probably several actors inside this building. Which way should we go? Wang Yan's girlfriend asked. She was dressed fashionably, but her body was shivering involuntarily. It was unclear whether it was because of fear or she was just feeling a bit cold. I remember that both Li Shu and the male host were wearing sports shoes. From the footprints on the ground, they should have taken the left corridor, but Wang Yan lowered his head to think. But what? Can't we just talk this through? Zhang Feng was getting impatient. When a person was placed in a completely unfamiliar environment, it was natural for them to be agitated. Why don't you come and take a look yourself? Wang Yan took out his phone and shone it at the ground. There were 2 pairs of footprints on the left side of the corridor. The pair of footprints at the front has the pattern of a sneaker, but the footprints at the back have no pattern. I can confirm that the thing following behind the tourist is not another tourist but something else. Wang Yan was not trying to scare anyone. He was just telling the truth. These 2 pairs of footprints are less than 30 centimeters apart. Can't you see the problem now? Seeing that Zhang Feng still did not understand, Wang Yan decided to demonstrate it himself. He walked to the back of his girlfriend and stood about 30 centimeters away from her. The visitor is walking in front, and there is a strange thing following behind him. The two of them walked down the entire corridor. Also, look at the footprints on the ground. They're very neat. In other words, until the end, the person walking in front didn't notice that there was a person 30 centimeters behind him. The workers at this haunted house sure are cruel. This was the first time Zhang Feng had visited a haunted house. Just from listening to Wang Yan's description, he was already feeling guilty. Li Shu and the male host should have taken the left corridor. The workers on the left side are currently attracted by Li Shu's group, so that corridor should be safe. Wang Yan walked down the left corridor alone. After Wang Yan left, the hospital lobby became even scarier. The patients' list on the ground was blown by the chilling wind, and they rustled against the ground. For the other visitors who were visiting a haunted house for the first time, this was torture. Wait for me. Wang Yan's girlfriend and Zhang Feng also entered the corridor on the left. No one was touching them, but the doors on both sides creaked on their own. Some kind of monster might be hiding inside the dark rooms. Carefully, Wang Yan's group moved very slowly. They were practically squeezed together. This looks like a normal sick room, But it's rather old, like it hasn't been occupied for a long time. The decorations inside the sick room were so realistic that it almost made one forget that this was the setting of a haunted house. Be careful. The workers here are all professionally trained. They can follow behind the visitors silently and come up with many tricks to scare them. There's no telling when you'll be tricked. Danger could come from many directions. Other than the half-open sick rooms, Wang Yan's group had to be careful of the cracked walls and floor. They could not even miss the ceiling. Their nerves were stretched taut. If someone screamed, it would scare the hell out of them. The short corridor took them more than a minute to walk down. When they reached the corner of the stairs, they realized that their backs were drenched in sweat. What? That's it. I thought there would be an actor dressed as a ghost rushing out from the room. Zhang Feng sighed in relief. Actually, it's not that scary. If anything, your analysis at the beginning was quite scary. Are you purposely trying to create a scary atmosphere to scare us? This sports student was indeed braver than a normal student, and the key point was that he did not want his performance to be worse than Wang Yan's. Actually, he looked down on Wang Yan from the bottom of his heart. He was a medical student who only knew how to deal with dead bodies. He had no interest, normal looks, short stature, and came from a poor family. There was nothing good about him. With that thought in mind, the fear in Zhang Feng's heart dissipated slightly. He glanced at Wang Yan's girlfriend. Wang Yan's girlfriend was his high school classmate, but he did not realize that the girl would become so beautiful after learning how to dress up. After seeing her profile picture online, Zhang Feng could not believe it was her. Hearing what Zhang Feng said, Wang Yan was quite angry. He had analyzed the situation out of kindness, but all he got was suspicion. This kind of person did not deserve help. Suppressing the displeasure in his heart, even though Wang Yan used to have a bad temper, ever since he visited Chen Ge's haunted house, the edges of his personality had been worn away. He had no idea why. Perhaps it was because he had seen a real demon, and everyone looked kind and friendly to him, or perhaps it was because he had been revived again and again at the underground morgue, and he had heard the advice of the old professor from Western Zhejiang Medical University. In any case, the current Wang Yan was different from before. He had grown a lot. Facing Zhang Feng's repeated provocation, Wang Yan did not argue with him. He understood that arguing was pointless. His main goal was to give Zhang Feng happiness at the haunted house. As long as he could achieve his goal, everything else did not matter. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you feeling guilty? Zhang Feng thought that he had seen through Wang Yan's thoughts. Coming to a place like the haunted house to prove who is braver, don't you think that's very childish? Nodding, Wang Yan moved forward silently. The atmosphere at the hospital became strange. Li Shu and the male host had been in the hospital for quite some time already, but they did not hear any movement. There was not even the sound of footsteps. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. All the buildings in the small town led underground, and Li Wan Private Hospital was no exception. Wang Yan looked at the staircase that led underground, and a strange thought appeared in his mind. They had not run into the haunted house's actors because they wanted to lure them underground. That would prevent the visitors from running out of the building after they were spooked. The light dimmed, and the three became more careful. There's someone down there. Just as they turned the corner between the first and second floor, Wang Yan's girlfriend suddenly screamed. Where? Wang Yan and Zhang Feng turned to look down the stairs at the same time. Just next to the railing on the second floor. I see it, it's a pair of gray legs. Wang Yan and Zhang Feng followed the direction that Wang Yan's girlfriend was pointing at, but there was nothing at the railing. It was there earlier, but it disappeared in a flash. Wang Yan's girlfriend took several steps back and moved from the middle of the group to the back. The actors probably heard our footsteps and hid there to ambush us, but you accidentally saw us, Zhang Feng said to console her. Okay, Wait a minute. Wang Yan's girlfriend suddenly pointed at Wang Yan's back. Look, there's something stuck to your shoulder. Me? Wang Yan touched his back and realized that there was a patient's record stuck to his back. There was a black and white picture printed on the front of the patient's record, and on the back, several words were written in a crooked manner. Come and find me. Who put this up? Wang Yan instantly realized that he had been targeted. The words on the paper could not have been written by Zhang Feng and his girlfriend. Neither of them had brought a pen with them, and the words on the paper were obviously written a long time ago. Do you think I would be as bored as you? Zhang Feng was the first to wave his hand. Wang Yan's girlfriend also thought this was strange. The three of them were walking together, but they did not see anyone else pass them. Don't any of you have anything on your backs? Wang Yan's expression was nervous. He turned to look at Zhang Feng and his girlfriend, but he realized that only his back was stuck to. Is it because I'm walking at the front? Looking at the patient's record in his hand, the person in the black and white picture appeared to be smiling at him. Wang Yan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He knew that this scene was about to reveal its true horror. What are you mumbling to yourself? Zhang Feng saw that Wang Yan was spooked, and he grinned. You want to pull the same trick a second time? As if understanding something, he turned to say to Wang Yan's girlfriend, Old friend, your boyfriend is quite an interesting one. We did not see anyone else along the way. Since the paper on his back was not pasted by either of us, who do you think did it? Wang Yan's girlfriend slowly understood. It was pasted by him? Impossible, Wang Yan, he. If it was not him, could it be a ghost? He wants to scare us and then pretend to be brave. This kind of person is so boring. That can't be, right? With Zhang Feng driving a wedge between them, Wang Yan's girlfriend started to suspect as well. Holding the patient's record in his hand, Wang Yan's pupils twitched rapidly. He looked around cautiously. He understood that danger was about to descend. This patient's record was a death notice. Since we've been targeted, there's no point in tossing it away. Wang Yan could hear the conversation between the two behind him clearly. He took a deep breath, bit on his lips, and turned around. Seeing the suspicion and disappointment in his girlfriend's eyes, Wang Yan's tense expression slowly relaxed. He gripped his fists unwillingly and then released them. In the end, he told Zhang Feng honestly, Fine, I admit that it was me. Why would you do that? You weren't like this before this. Wang Yan's girlfriend's voice slowly grew louder. I just wanted to prove that I have my own strengths. Wang Yan's pupils twitched madly, and goosebumps rose on the back of his neck, but he forced himself to remain calm. There's a legend at this haunted house. As long as you write, "Come find me," on a piece of paper, there's a chance that you'll run into a real ghost. I just wanted to prove that I'm braver. How childish. If you want to listen to urban legends, I can tell you 100 of them. Zhang Feng's disdain toward Wang Yan increased. I admit that I'm a bit jealous of you. I'm not as handsome as you, not as well groomed as you, not as rich as your family, and when I played basketball with you before, I was completely trounced by you. Compared to you, I'm too normal, so I wanted to prove that I have something that is better than you. Wang Yan's voice started to shake. He saw a pair of gray legs walk out from the door in the corridor that he had come from. That's why you're using this method. Zhang Feng's vanity was satisfied, especially before Wang Yan's girlfriend. I really can't imagine a medical student like you would believe these ghost stories. Don't you know they're all made up by people who have nothing better to do? Then, do you dare give it a try? Wang Yan seemed to have been waiting for Zhang Feng to say that. He spoke very fast, so fast that Zhang Feng did not even have the time to react. What? Zhang Feng was still basking in his self-satisfaction. He did not expect something like that to come out of Wang Yan's mouth. Since you think these ghost stories are made up, there's no harm in giving it a try, Wang Yan said as he stuck the patient's record on Zhang Feng's back. Actually, after seeing you, I've realized that there are many people who are better than me in this world. I need to keep running to catch up to people like you." Wang Yan's words confused Zhang Feng. He felt proud and satisfied, but at the same time, he felt like something was not quite right. "After saying everything that's been on my mind, I feel much better. I'll be more honest in the future." Wang Yan patted Zhang Feng's back to make sure that the patient's record was securely stuck and would not fall off. "Come on, we'll continue our exploration. I'm not going to tell you these boring ghost stories anymore." Wang Yan pushed Zhang Feng to the front of the group and said apologetically, "Actually, this haunted house is not as scary as the rumors make it out to be. We only told outsiders that because we wanted to hide the fact that we're cowards." Zhang Feng still did not understand the situation, but after hearing what Wang Yan said, he did not feel that afraid anymore. "Is it really not scary?" "Yes, this haunted house is not scary at all. When I visited earlier, I was so bored that I fell asleep," Wang Yan said with sincerity as he pushed Zhang Feng down the stairs. "How did I fall asleep while visiting a haunted house?" Zhang Feng was still thinking about what Wang Yan had said when his body was pushed by Wang Yan. After finding out that those strange rumors were all made up by Wang Dan, Zhang Feng was actually not that afraid anymore. He loved extreme sports, and his mental endurance was much stronger than the average person's. Besides, he did not believe in ghosts and monsters at all. Everything inside a haunted house was fake. Compared to diving and survival in the wild, a haunted house had the lowest potential risk. He knew very well that a haunted house would not put its visitors in real danger. Since there was no danger, what was there to be afraid of? It's not like I'll lose a few pieces of flesh if I get scared. With that in mind, Zhang Feng became even more confident. Even his gait was different from before. There's nothing to be afraid of. We need to move forward and clear the scenario as soon as possible. This haunted house and this theme park are too boring. If there's a chance in the future, I'll invite you to visit a new high-tech theme park in eastern Zhejiang." When Zhang Feng said that, he did not forget to turn back to smile at Wang Yan's girlfriend like he was hinting at something. With the patient's record stuck on his back, Zhang Feng was the first to arrive at the second floor. The light became dimmer. Without the aid of a flashlight, one would not be able to see their surroundings clearly. "Have Li Shu and the male streamer left already? How come there's no movement?" Zhang Feng pushed open the door to the sick room next door. The bed was covered in dirty sheets, and there were scattered plaster and blood stains on the floor. "This sick room looks different from the others. It feels like someone has been here before." Zhang Feng wanted to learn from Wang Yan and analyze the situation, but he could not explain it. He could only attribute it to his sixth sense. "Should we go in to take a look?" Wang Yan's girlfriend was panicking. Her mind was still thinking about the pair of legs that she had seen earlier. "If you think someone has been here, it means that Li Shu and the male streamer have found something in this room. Let's go in to take a look." Wang Yan then pushed Zhang Feng into the room. The faded smell of disinfectant floated in the sick room, and it was rather pungent. Zhang Feng covered his mouth with his hand and frowned. He pulled back the bedsheet with disgust. Under the sheet was a human-shaped bloodstain and a selfie stick. "Why is there such a thing?" Zhang Feng picked up the selfie stick. "It doesn't look like a prop from the haunted house. Could it have been left behind by the male host?" As he spoke, a soft sound came from the wardrobe next to him. It was as if someone had accidentally touched something in a high degree of panic and made the sound. "Who?" Even though he kept reminding himself that there was no need to be afraid, Zhang Feng was still a little nervous when he actually encountered a dangerous situation. Step by step, he walked toward the closet and slowly opened the door. Inside was a tattered patient's gown and an incomplete diary. "It's a piece of cake. I found a clue." Zhang Feng was very excited. At that moment, he was experiencing the joy of a haunted house. It was the feeling of searching in the deepest depths of fear and despair. When his nerves were stretched to the limit and he finally found a clue, his brain would give him a sense of satisfaction that he had never felt before. Flipping through the diary, Zhang Feng knew that his analytical ability was not as good as Wang Yan's, so he called Wang Yan over to read it together. The diary recorded a patient who had discovered the strangeness of this hospital. Every night, a little boy would come to play hide and seek with him. The words were simple and unadorned, but these few short sentences managed to evoke the deepest fear in the few people's hearts. Hide and seek, huh? Zhang Feng was not good at using his brain, but that did not mean that he was an idiot. After reading the story in the diary, he was instantly reminded of the patient's record that was originally stuck on Wang Yan's back. If the patient's record was Wang Yan's prank, then how did he know that there was such a scary game of hide and seek hidden inside this hospital? This was the first time the scenario had been opened to the public, and they were the first batch of visitors. Wang Yan did not have time to prepare beforehand. Could it be that Wang Yan had conspired with the haunted house's boss? The fear that Zhang Feng had suppressed earlier resurfaced because the patient's record was stuck on his back. Realizing that something was wrong, Zhang Feng closed the diary. This haunted house sure did a good job with the details. We've been here for a long time already. Let's prepare to leave. I'm getting tired. How far have we been? As a sports student, you're already tired. Are you feeling unwell? Wang Yan's face was filled with concern, and it made Zhang Feng want to punch him. That's not it either. Oh, right. Zhang Feng picked up the selfie stick on the bed. If the male host can't find what he wants, he will be worried. Let's take this and wait for him outside. With one hand holding the selfie stick and the other hiding behind his back, Zhang Feng wanted to remove the patient's record from his back, but something unexpected happened. His hand reached out, and the patient's record that was stuck on his back had disappeared. What the f*ck? Turning his head to look behind him, he saw a pair of greenish-black arms reaching out from the closet. A legless man wearing a tattered patient's garb was pasting yellowed patient's records on Zhang Feng's waist and legs. Every single patient's record had the same sentence written on it: "It's my turn to be a ghost." The densely packed patient's records had somehow gotten stuck to his body. Zhang Feng's mind was blank. His brain that lacked training was about to explode from the endless questions. Where did this man come from? Why is he wearing the patient's garb that I saw earlier? What do you mean by "it's my turn to be a ghost"? When did I agree to play a game with you? His face was twisted, and Zhang Feng's heart jumped to his throat. He froze for 2 seconds before his body reacted. With a scream, he jumped into the air out of instinct. At that moment, his mind was still blank. When he landed, he rammed into Wang Yan and escaped through the door. When Zhang Feng was flipping through the diary, Wang Yan had already noticed that something was wrong. He saw the patient's garb inside the closet move on its own. Different from Zhang Feng, Wang Yan went on high alert. He knew that this was a 3.5-star scenario, and if he was not careful, he would be in big trouble. At that moment, he had already prepared to run. When Zhang Feng turned around to say something, Wang Yan saw 2 arms reach out from inside the closet. However, he still gave Zhang Feng enough respect and did not interrupt the man when he was talking. He knew that was very rude, so he patiently listened to Zhang Feng's analysis. When Zhang Feng realized what was going on, Wang Yan had already pushed his girlfriend away and ran several meters away. He felt like he had learned many life lessons at Chen Ge's haunted house. I don't have as good a background as you. If I want to be as good as you, I'll have to run faster than you do. This was not chicken soup for the soul from Wang Yan's perspective. If he was too slow, he might really end up in the hospital. Bang! The sickroom door slammed heavily into the wall. When Wang Yan and his girlfriend walked out from the room, they realized that there was a pair of grayish-green legs standing at the corner of the corridor. What terrified him even more was that almost in an instant, another pair of legs appeared, and after only a few tenths of a second, a third pair of legs appeared. With their escape blocked, Wang Yan and his girlfriend had no choice but to run deeper into the hospital. Zhang Feng also rushed out from the sick room at that moment. He had used too much force and almost knocked into the wall. Before he recovered, he saw many patients in patient garbs and with grayish-green skin standing at the top of the staircase. He had not suffered any setbacks since he was young. He came from a rich family and was handsome. Wherever he went, he would be the center of attention. It was the same inside the haunted house. The patients with twisted limbs were looking at him with great interest. Zhang Feng's tears were welling up in his eyes. He was finally reminded of Wang Yan's kindness and chased after Wang Yan. Hearing the footsteps behind him, Wang Yan ran even faster. They ran down the corridor and reached the staircase on the right side of the hospital. At the end of the day, Zhang Feng was a sports student. He soon caught up to Wang Yan, and the group of patients followed closely behind him. There was no way to shake them off. "We can't continue like this. We're all going to die," Wang Yan screamed in desperation. At this crucial moment, he was very responsible. "Quick, wait until we reach the next corner. While their vision is blocked, the two of you hide in the sick rooms on the left and right respectively. I'll lure them away." Wang Yan, his girlfriend, looked at him worriedly. She wanted to say something. "Stop wasting time. Quick, self-sacrifice, selfless dedication." Wang Yan was like a hero at that moment. Zhang Feng did not expect Wang Yan to be so manly. In any case, if he was in his shoes, he would not have done such a thing. Running around the corner, Zhang Feng did not think too much about it and crawled into the sick room next door. Just as he was about to close the door to catch his breath, he was shocked to see Wang Dan grab his girlfriend and run madly out of the scenario. They showed no intention of stopping. To make matters worse, the patients with twisted limbs and strange expressions did not chase after Wang Yan and his girlfriend. Instead, they all stopped at the door to his room. Many eyes fell on the patients list behind him, and Zhang Feng finally understood everything. When the pale faces rushed into the sick rooms, a heart-wrenching scream echoed throughout Li Wan Private Hospital. "Wang Yan! You tricked me! You bastard!" On the third basement floor of Li Wan City's private hospital, the male streamer held his backpack with one hand and his phone with the other. "Strange. Where did my selfie stick go? Without it, the picture will shake, and it'll affect the view. Did you forget to bring it?" Li Shu walked together with the male streamer. The two seemed to have other plans for this haunted house. "That's impossible." The male streamer was still rummaging through his backpack. "Stop looking, let's start already. I heard another scream earlier. The few students have probably been captured by the haunted house's workers." Li Shu kept looking at the sick rooms on the left and right. "We're going to livestream inside his haunted house. If the workers see us, they'll definitely come to cause trouble. If they want to cause trouble, then so be it. What can they do to me? Do they dare to use violence in front of the camera?" The male streamer's expression was dark, completely different from his usual livestream. "Furthermore, if they dare to use force, we'll be able to get a hold of their weakness." The futuristic theme park wants to understand the secret behind his haunted house's popularity. But the boss's goal doesn't feel so simple, Li Shu whispered. "I'm going to start the live stream. Stop talking nonsense." The male streamer took out a few low-quality jade pendants from his backpack. They all looked the same, but some of them had a crack on them, while others had several cracks. The male streamer pondered for a moment, then took out a jade pendant that had 9 cracks and was about to completely shatter, and put it around his neck. After all the preparation was done, he operated the backstage software and keyed in his account. "We'll follow our original plan. I'll do the haunted house's secrets, and you'll cooperate with me in the dark." This haunted house is so popular online, so my livestream will definitely attract a lot of viewers. Don't worry, I've memorized the script several times. There won't be any problems. Li Ju gave the male host an okay sign and walked into the shadows. He maintained a distance of 5 meters from the host. Opening the livestream software, the male streamer pointed the phone at himself. When the image appeared on screen, his face instantly changed. The gloom on his face disappeared, and he pretended to be very nervous and panicked. After the image stabilized, he said, "Hello, everyone. I am Huang Hu, your brother Big Fox. Those who know me well know that my ancestor is a Chuma deity, and I learned a few tricks from my grandfather when I was young. I know a thing or two about fortune-telling, feng shui, and so on. We've been to many haunted houses before, and we've indeed run into some evil things, but those things are nothing compared to what we're seeing today." The male streamer who called himself Huang Hu seemed to have prepared everything. After the introduction, he pulled the phone away from him. "I'm currently inside the haunted house at Western Zhejiang's New Century Park. Yes, the haunted house that is known on the internet is the scariest and scariest haunted house that no one has been able to clear." There was a trace of pride in the male streamer's voice. "The scenario that I'm about to explore should be very unfamiliar to all of you because this is a 3.5-star scenario. In other words, it is the most difficult scenario that the haunted house has ever opened. Many of you might ask, why can I challenge a 3.5-star scenario directly? That is not something that I can explain." Quote. With a mysterious smile on his lips, Huang Hu adjusted the speed of his speech, and his expression turned serious again. "Honestly speaking, this haunted house is indeed not normal. When I first entered this haunted house, there was a problem with the jade pendant that was passed down by my ancestors. Let me show you." Huang Hu took out the jade pendant that he had worn earlier. When we were at Hainan Spirit Cemetery, the jade pendant had 7 cracks, but this time, it has 9 cracks. 9 is the extreme number. This is a warning from my ancestors. This haunted house is very, very dangerous. Then he put the jade pendant away and started the next performance. But even if its danger level is off the charts, today, I will give you the most authentic decipher. The 3rd floor was damp and cold. The male host, Huang Hu, held his phone and started to explore the haunted house. "I don't think I need to explain this haunted house anymore. Just search online, and you'll find plenty of rumors, real or fake. Every scenario has its own ghost story, like a doll that will always follow you, a student model that will appear at any time and any place, and a ballpoint pen that will cause an accident when you ask about your marriage. There are many ghost stories, and I believe everyone is curious as well. Which of them is real and which is fake? Today, I will personally reveal the answer to everyone inside this haunted house." He took out a piece of paper and a ballpoint pen from his black backpack and walked into the sick room next door. The ghost story about the pen spirit was the first to cause a sensation online. According to legend, there was a strange man by the name of Fei Yuliang who used his sincerity to touch the pen spirit. He was the first person to meet the pen spirit inside the haunted house, and he was the first person to be sent to the hospital after visiting the haunted house. At the time, many visitors were eyewitnesses, so everything is real. Scanning the chat, Huang Hu placed the pen and paper on the sickroom bed, and he put on a serious expression. "Now, I will personally try out this game. You heard me right. I will livestream the pen spirit game inside this haunted house filled with ghost stories." The atmosphere was ready. Huang Hu placed the phone on the pillow in the sickroom. He knelt down on the bed and picked up the ballpoint pen that he had brought with him. "My friends, I'm going to start now. I hope none of you will blink for the next second because I have no idea what will happen." His tone was serious, and he cautiously placed the ballpoint pen vertically on the paper. Pen spirit, you are my past life, and I am your present life. Can you tell me who my future wife will be? Underground, inside the darkened sick room, the surroundings were eerily quiet. In this kind of environment, Huang Hu focused all of his attention on the tip of the pen. 1 second, 2 seconds, on the third second, Yellow Wolf's hidden ring finger lightly touched the pen's handle, and the ballpoint pen that was standing on top of the white paper moved in an almost imperceptible manner. "It's here," with shock written all over his face. Huang Hu's expression shifted. He glanced at the phone and made a shushing gesture at the camera. Without moving, he stood by the bed for another minute before slowly standing up. He placed the paper before the camera and pointed at the slanted handwriting. "As you can see, after I started the game, the ballpoint pen did move on its own. The pen spirit should have really appeared. As for why she didn't come, I guess she's afraid of the jade pendant on my neck." Turning the camera back to focus on himself, Yellow Wolf said with lingering fear, "I know you might not believe me, and this handwriting does not prove too much, but next, I will use Ma Xian's method to determine whether this haunted house is really hiding yin energy or not." Yellow Wolf walked out from the sick room with the phone in his hand. "The corridor here is very eerie. Perhaps it is because it is built underground, but walking down it makes me break out in cold sweat." Turning the camera, Yellow Wolf shone the light behind him. "The dolls and the student models did not appear, but I discovered something very scary." He pointed at the sick room doors on the sides of the corridor. "When I entered the room earlier, many of the sick room doors were half open, but look again now, many of the doors are completely open. It feels like something has just escaped from them." Many comments flashed across the screen. Some of the audience members noticed this and started to speculate. Of course, there were also people who suspected that this was all Huang Hu's doing. "I know many of you don't believe me, so I will use the method that has been passed down from my ancestors to help you prove it. My great-grandfather once warned us not to try this method, and today, I will make an exception for everyone." Actually, Huang Hu was not that afraid. He and Li Shu had already gone through the script. He believed that it was Li Shu who had opened the doors earlier. This method is called making the yin door, or feeding yin rice. Huang Hu reached into his pocket to take out a small black bag. Inside it was a wet black cloth. He pulled it open, and there was a handful of white rice in the middle. Scatter a handful of yin rice at the junction and then walk past the doors of each room. When you reach the fourth room, scatter a handful of rice at the door, open the door, enter the room, and stomp your feet 4 times. After that, scatter a few more grains of rice inside the room and walk out of the room. If the shape of the rice outside the door is different from before, then enter the room again and repeat this process 4 times. If the surroundings are not clean, when you enter the room for the last time, you will see strangers, because that time, we did not enter our own home but mistakenly entered the yin door with them accompanying us. This is the method that my ancestors used to check out ghost tombs. I hope you don't try it so casually in case something really follows you home." After saying that, Huang Hu walked to the corner of the stairs. He picked up a few grains of rice and scattered them at the entrance of the stairs. Strangely enough, after he left, the number of grains of rice that fell to the ground decreased significantly. Now, the test officially begins. Huang Hu took a deep breath, and his expression was serious, like he was doing something very dangerous. He scattered a few grains of rice outside the fourth sick room from the left. Then he opened the door and entered the room. Turning the camera, Huang Hu took pictures of everything inside the room. "Everyone, remember the placement of the objects inside the room. They might change on their own later." Scanning through the comments, Huang Hu fixed the phone to the bed. From this angle, he could see the door of the sick room. "Be careful, there might be strangers coming in later." Then he opened the door and walked out. After scattering a few grains of rice, he exited the room and closed the door. At a place where the camera could not capture him, Huang Hu took out another phone and pressed the button to dial. After 2 rains, he hung up. This was the signal that he and Li Shu had arranged. He turned to look at where Li Shu was hiding, but the latter did not reply. Where is he? Is he still putting on makeup? Huang Hu did not dare disappear from the livestream for too long. After a few seconds, he pushed open the door again. With a nervous expression, he said to the phone that was live streaming, "I think I heard footsteps earlier. They came from the entrance of the stairs. Something is coming, and it's getting closer and closer to me." Then, Huang Hu scattered the rice and walked out of the sick room again. He looked down the corridor, and it was as quiet as a black ocean. He called Li Shu's phone again. It rang 3 or 4 times, but there was still no answer. Why did the man drop the ball at such a crucial moment? I can't get through to him. What is the man doing? Annoyed, the back of Huang Hu's neck started to itch. He scratched it several times. How come it feels like someone is sitting on my neck? Whipping his head around, Huang Hu realized there was no one behind him. This is weird. He tried to turn his head back, and he could see a small patch of skin on the back of his neck had turned purple like it had been bitten by some kind of bug. What is that? Just as he raised his phone to take a picture of the back of his neck, the phone in his palm suddenly vibrated. F***CK. Why is he calling at a time like this? Huang Hu glanced at the caller ID. It was Li Shu. He walked to the side to make sure the phones in the room could not capture the call before he answered it. Just as his finger touched the answer button, Li Shu's strange voice came from Huang Hu's phone. Huang Hu, something is very wrong with this haunted house. There's something wrong with the actors, everything is wrong. Come here now. I have more than 100,000 people watching. If you dare screw me up, I won't forgive you when we leave this place. Huang Hu lowered his voice, and his face was dark. It was completely different from when he was in front of the camera. You should stop the live stream as well. Listen to me after we leave this place. Li Shu's voice was normal, but his tone was strange. Do you know how much money the company has invested for this live stream? I started it a week ago, and all the fans are looking forward to this live stream. I'm waiting to use this live stream to climb to the top of the platform, and now you're telling me to leave? Huang Hu's voice sounded like it was squeezed out from between his teeth. If you're purposely messing with me because of the money, then you win. As long as you cooperate with me and follow the script, I'll pay you double the money when we leave this place. It's not about the money. This haunted house is different from other haunted houses. The sound of static came from the phone, and Li Shu's voice was distorted. This place really does appear to be haunted. The call was still going on, and the screen showed that the other party had not hung up. However, he could not hear the other party's voice, only the sound of static. Signal jamming. Huang Hu hung up immediately, opened the door, and looked at the phone that was live streaming. Compared to Li Shu, he was more worried about his live stream being disrupted. Where is he? He's been gone for half a day already. Has the host been captured by a ghost? How can you not wet your shoes if you always walk by the roadside? I think he's screwed up this time. I've been to this haunted house before, and you can't even begin to imagine how scary it is. At that time, there were 7 of us, but in the end, only 2 of us walked out. Are you kidding me? What you think is scary? It's just a form of preschool education here. Have you seen a haunted house that specially prepares a cart for its visitors? Have you ever seen a haunted house that has a VIP sick room in the hospital? Have you ever seen a haunted house where all the workers have learned first aid? Not only have I seen it, but I've also experienced it. It's so exciting. Seeing that the live stream was not interrupted, Huang Hu sighed in relief. He forced a smile on his face. I just went out to take a look. The white rice on the ground has been messed up. When we entered the house, someone walked past the door. Li Shu had left on his own, leaving Chen Ge alone. He could no longer act according to the script. Huang Hu looked at the screen and occasionally scratched his neck. He suppressed the agitation in his heart and said in an unusually nervous tone, "Perhaps everyone thinks I'm lying or that I've been lying to you, but that's not the case. Ever since I entered this haunted house, I've been feeling strangely unsettled. It feels like someone is following me." He was trying to buy time, trying to find a way to fool them, but to his surprise, the number of comments on his phone suddenly increased. In that instant, the page was blocked by the sudden increase in comments. This was the first time that he had encountered something like this. What's going on? Standing where he was, Huang Hu refreshed the page several times before the comments returned to normal. However, due to the large number of comments, the livestream was still lagging. "Look behind you. What the f***ck? You scared me to death. There's a face on the window. Look behind you, the host. Outside the door, he's just outside the door. Oh my god, he's here, he's really here." The whole screen was filled with similar comments, even blocking his view. This was the first time that Huang Hu had encountered such popularity. Instead of looking behind him, he looked at the popularity of his livestream. In just a few minutes, the popularity had exceeded 350,000. And it was still increasing at a terrifying speed. 700,000 is enough to reach the top of the platform's popularity ranking. If this continues, it'll be easy. Huang Hu still did not turn around. After he offered to double the reward, Li Shu finally returned. Everything was under control, but he still had to show the necessary expression. Looking at the comments, Huang Hu seemed to be scared out of his wits, and his lips started to twitch unnaturally. Something really appeared? Don't lie to me. My grandfather forbids my family from opening the yin door. This is very serious. There were too many comments, and his popularity was real. Due to the secrecy of the haunted house, not many people would go to a haunted house to livestream. But not only did Huang Hu go to a haunted house, he went to the most famous haunted house on the internet. With his huge fan base, the company behind him, and the popularity of Chen Ge's haunted house online, the effect it produced was far beyond anyone's expectation. The whole platform's audience started to rush to his livestream, and many livestream rooms started to be flooded with comments. "Ghost. Brother Fox has run into a real ghost." The topic exploded in a short period of time, and countless curious people rushed to the livestream room. Huang Hu was secretly happy, but he still had to pretend to be afraid. "Don't panic. This is not the time to panic. My ancestors are all Chumaxian, and they have experience in dealing with this." The more he said that, the more the comments exploded. Many people told him to turn around, and many told him to run. There was really a ghost behind him. Huang Hu sighed internally at Li Shu's makeup skill. The double reward was worth it. His body swayed slightly, and he pretended to be shivering. The more the comments told Huang Hu to run, the more he refused to run. His arms crossed in front of his chest, and without turning around, Huang Hu yelled at the phone, "Things have already happened, and it is too late to run now. Calm down, you have to calm down." His hands slammed together, and Huang Hu yelled, "No matter who is behind you, don't worry about his identity, calm your heart, and the immortal will fall on you." When he said that, the look in Huang Hu's eyes changed, and the fake fear on his face slowly disappeared. "Don't be afraid. The more you are afraid, the more they will bully you." Huang Hu picked up his phone, and he became more imposing. "It's okay. I am not alone now. You're with me. Everyone, give me some tips and follow me, and I will take you out to have a look." Seeing the fluttering tips, Huang Hu's face also became ruddy. He turned around, faced the door, and shouted again, "Immortal Master is in charge of logistics, and I only need to calm my heart. Visualize the 8 trigrams under your feet, and countless soldiers and horses behind you." Pointing 2 fingers at the window, Huang Hu did not forget to adjust the lens so that he and the window on the door could be seen at the same time. The closed door made a creaking sound, and in the middle of the window on the door was a pale face. Different from the whiteness of makeup, it was a very empty and pale white. It was obviously there, but it felt like it would disappear at any time. The strange face was completely occupied by the white of the eyes, and the lips were cracked. The ears were covered, and the black hair fell down. When Huang Hu saw this face, his body involuntarily took a step back, and then he gave Li Shu a thumbs up in his heart. No wonder he is a professional haunted house actor, he is amazing. His arms were shaking, and the live stream was filled with screams. Of course, there were also people who questioned him, saying that he was just a worker at the haunted house. Some viewers in the live stream said that they wanted to call the police and form a group to save the host. That was normal, but Huang Hu could not ignore those who called the police. He was acting with Li Shu, and if the police came, how was he going to continue? In less than half an hour, he had gained hundreds of thousands of views, and that was very rare on his platform. There is no need to trouble the police. After all, I am the descendant of a Chuma deity. Today, I will show you the real skill that has been passed down from my family. If it is effective, I hope you will stop leaving negative reviews on my talisman shop. He reached his hand into his backpack and crushed some cinnabar. Then he jumped up and pressed his finger on the forehead of the face through the glass. The untamed horse's nature is like fire. Let it to the leader to receive his teachings. When you cultivate alone in the golden flower cave, you will see the peach blossoms wilt. His voice echoed in the sick room. Huang Hu used the cinnabar to draw a symbol that no one could understand on the glass. Then he took several steps back while gasping for air. There should be no problem now. Huang Hu lifted his head to look at the window. The face was still there, and the white of the eyes were confused like he was looking at an idiot. What is going on? Huang Hu gritted his teeth. He was acting according to the script, but Li Shu was not cooperating. Do you want me to pay more? This is too much? His heart was burning with anger, but after all, Huang Hu was a big streamer from Shanghai. He was very good at adapting to situations, so he said casually, no fame, no profit, and the heart is pure. With the celestial and the Tao, the old karma is eliminated. The mortal body retreats to reveal its true form, and the Tao heart opens to the realm of truth. After reciting the spell, Huang Hu's body turned. In a place where the camera could not see, he extended 3 fingers at the face on the door. As if to emphasize the point, he even extended them 3 times. 3 times the pay. Are you satisfied now? The face on the window did not know how to deal with this situation. He saw Huang Hu keep extending 3 fingers. He seemed to understand something, but he did not. Then, as if he had understood something, he slowly disappeared. Seeing the face disappear, Huang Hu scolded Li Shu internally for being shameless and breaking the contract, but the expression on his face did not change that much. He stopped what he was doing and turned the camera back to the door. Look, that thing has disappeared. The chat flooded, and Huang Hu enjoyed the moment of silence. That was the ghost that followed behind me after I left the yin door. That should not be the effect of makeup, and it felt like it was floating in the air. Huang Hu did not manage to capture the disappearance of the ghost face, so the audience kept questioning him, but Huang Hu ignored all of that. It's fine. Based on what my grandfather said, a yin spirit that exits the yin door for the first time is usually timid. After it leaves, it will not appear again. Wiping away the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead, Huang Hu continued. That was quite a close call, but thankfully, I have some skill. Alright, let's leave this place and move on to the next test. As Huang Hu said that, he realized that something was wrong. The screen froze again, and the number of comments increased crazily. With a bad feeling in his heart, Huang Hu lifted his head to look and realized that the ghost face had reappeared. Are you done? Huang Hu gritted his teeth. Li Shu could not follow the script, but he could not. Taking a few steps back, Huang Hu also pretended to be surprised and said to the phone that was broadcasting, "Damn it. Looks like this time's exit from the yin door has attracted more than a normal ghost. This haunted house is too evil." He stared at the face on the window. "It will be difficult to escape this time, but it's okay, my grandfather left me something." Reaching into his bag to take out a talisman with black letters on a red background, Huang Hu's demeanor was completely different from before. He displayed all of his hatred toward Li Shu. "This talisman is the most expensive type of talisman in my Taobao shop. Every time you use it, there will be one less. They were all left behind by my grandfather. Let's not waste any more time. I was the one who brought this ghost here, so no matter what, I will have to send him away today." Holding the talisman, Huang Hu turned his body again. The immortal protects the horse in all directions, and roams the three realms without restraint. Wearing armor, no weapon can hurt me, and in a moment, I can cover 1,000 miles. As he shouted with all his might, Yellow Wolf extended 4 fingers at the ghost face on the window. Perhaps because it had happened once, when the ghost face saw Huang Hu extend 4 fingers, it nodded silently and then disappeared again. The two cooperated very well. After the ghost face disappeared, Huang Hu also finished the whole set of actions and stuck the talisman on the window. "Don't worry this time. With the talisman left behind by my grandfather, it will definitely not come back," Huang Hu panted. This livestream was much more difficult than he had imagined. It was full of trials and tribulations. Looking at the window with lingering fear, Huang Hu was really worried that Li Shu would appear again, so he prepared to leave as soon as possible. "Alright, let's go somewhere else to experience it." Huang Hu grabbed his phone, opened the door, and walked out. Deep underground, a chilly wind blew, and the sound of children's laughter came from the dark corridor. Just as Huang Hu exited the sick room, he felt a chill run down his spine. He turned to look at his phone, and the chat exploded again. This time, it was not only his livestream, the whole livestream platform started to lag. The number of comments in that instant had broken the instantaneous chat record of his livestream platform. "What's wrong now?" Huang Hu slowly turned his head around. When his eyes swept behind him, he felt a chill that almost burst through his skull. Just a few steps behind him, there were 4 ghosts in patient garb standing side by side. Their bodies were twisted, and they did not look human. The expression on their faces was completely different from that of a living person. The 4 of them looked at Huang Hu quietly. Then the patient in the middle pointed at himself, then at the 3 ghosts next to him, and finally extended 4 fingers toward Huang Hu. 4. Seeing the strange man in the patient's garb reach out 4 fingers, Huang Hu felt like he was about to die from a heart attack. His chest hurt, and his head was heavy. If not for the livestream, he would have tossed the phone away and run for his life. "Calm down. This is a haunted house. They are all haunted house actors. It's fine, it's fine." Huang Hu tried to convince himself, but his body was already going out of control, and his legs were shaking. The normally eloquent man was rendered speechless. Chilling air rushed at him from all directions, and he could sense that the 4 people before him were very unique. Even those with congenital abnormalities would not have such a strange appearance when they grew up. Their hands and feet were twisted like fried dough twists, and their bones were deformed. Some of their eyes had been dug out, leaving only 2 pitch black holes. Some of their eye sockets were full of white, and they would occasionally roll a few times. The 4 patients walked forward in a line. The light was distorted, and only then did Huang Hu realize that the 4 people before him had no shadows. "Don't come any closer." The scream came from behind him. By then, Huang Hu had lost the calmness that he had in the room. He knew that it was not Li Shu who had acted with him earlier but one of the actors inside the haunted house. When he realized this, another question surfaced in his mind. Where did Li Ju run off to? He was reminded of the phone call that Li Shu had given him. On the phone, Li Shu's voice was completely different from normal, like he was really in big trouble. Li Shu has worked at the haunted house for so long. He is an experienced prop master. To make him feel like this place is really haunted. Cold sweat continued to pour down his face. Before Yellow Wolf arrived at the haunted house, he had researched many ghost stories and legends about the haunted house. At that moment, all the ghost stories were squeezed into his mind, and endless fear swallowed him whole. I should go. It was too late for regret. The four figures started to pick up speed. Their twisted bodies twisted, and their faces twisted to reveal ghastly faces. They charged at Huang Hu with a roar. They are not humans, this place is really haunted. Huang Hu opened his mouth wide, but no words came out. Fear overflowed from his eyes, and he felt like he was about to suffocate. Big Fox, why did you come out by yourself? You've been talking to yourself since the beginning. This isn't what we agreed on. The door a few meters away from Huang Hu was pushed open at this critical moment. Li Shu followed Huang Hu's request and painted a grimace on himself before walking out. Hearing Li Shu's voice, Huang Hu's heart that had been frozen by fear seemed to have won a beam of light, and his brain began to control his body again. He turned around and looked at Li Shu. He took a deep breath and was about to shout when his phone started to vibrate. Subconsciously looking down, Huang Hu saw two words written on the caller ID, Li Shu. The call was from Li Shu? Who is this Li Shu in front of him? Gently touching the screen, Huang Hu used the little strength he had just recovered to raise the phone to his ear. Big Fox, I can't contact Jin Yuan and Coldman anymore. I'm hiding at the exit. Come out now. There's really something wrong with this haunted house. Li Shu's voice came from the phone, and it was filled with anxiety and anxiety. I'm not joking. Come out now, quick. I know you're not joking. Huang Hu raised the phone with a blank expression. His eyes looked at Li Shu, who was walking toward him. But the problem is, I've run into two of you. An indescribable feeling of terror crawled into his body through his pores. This had already exceeded Huang Hu's limit. He screamed and charged at Li Shu like a madman. There were four behind him, and there was one in front of him. His biological instinct made Huang Hu make the best choice in his life. Have you lost your mind? I'm Li. Before he finished, Huang Hu, who had completely broken down, had already reached Li Shu. He grabbed his backpack and slammed it heavily at Li Shu. Earlier, Li Shu had been busy with his makeup. Before he understood what had happened, Huang Hu's backpack slammed into his face. I'm Li Shu. F***CK. I've just finished my makeup. Quote. Li Shu reached out to grab Huang Hu. Huang Hu screamed again when he saw him like he was being haunted by a ghost. He abandoned his backpack and the phone that was live streaming and ran for his life toward the end of the corridor. Huang Hu. Li Shu held his nose, and even his voice had changed. He was worried about Huang Hu, so he quickly chased after him. The two visitors, one chasing the other, disappeared from the third floor in the blink of an eye. The four workers in the patient's garb slowly stopped moving. They looked at each other, and they all felt like the two did not want to play with them. The white eyes of the patient in the middle fluttered, and the black hair of the patient in the middle fluttered. The anger in his heart could not be suppressed anymore. When he first appeared, the visitor had made a 3 sign at him. When he finally gathered 3 workers, the visitor made another 4. After he had finally gathered 4 workers and satisfied the man's unreasonable request, the man had left on his own. This was clearly toying with him. This is too much. This is too much. Scary scars surfaced on their pale faces. The 4 angry workers stopped hiding and revealed their real faces. Their lips cracked open, and a strange sound came from them. Then the whole building seemed to wake up. Behind the half-open sickroom door, Several more dark gray arms reached out. The chains knocked against the wall, creating a creepy sound. A shadow stretched by the light fell on the door of Liwan Private Hospital. Wearing Dr. Skullcracker's outfit, Chen Ge dragged the hammer with one hand and stopped at the door. He lowered his head to look at the message sent by Tong Tong. Someone is live streaming at the 3rd floor underground. I've tolerated taking pictures and recording videos, but now they've started live streaming. Has the freedom that I've given them gone too far? Have they forgotten whose territory this is? Chen Ge had a good temper, and he rarely got angry unless he could not hold it in anymore. The spikes on the hammer scratched on the cement floor. Chen Ge entered the 3rd floor underground wearing the human skin mask. Where did they go? The corridor was dark, and there was no one, but the temperature was unusually low. Taking out his phone, Chen Ge was about to contact Tong Tong when he saw a black backpack and a phone left outside room 4. A black backpack? Looks like it was carried in by a visitor. I remember he was with that pervert. Chen Ge did not get too close. The backpack and phone are here, but the person is gone. Obviously, he was spooked. I've written in the employees' rules that any visitor who uses a phone to record or take pictures inside the haunted house is not to be merciful. Could the owner of this backpack be the hidden live streamer? Then, could the phone next to it be live streaming? After so many trial missions, Chen Ge's observation was much better than normal. He stood far away and removed the Dr. Skullcracker's outfit before walking to the black backpack. Why are you so careless? Did you forget to take your stuff? Thankfully, we have surveillance here, so the visitor's safety is guaranteed. After saying that, Chen Ge turned to look at the phone next to him. Whose phone is this? Quote. He picked up the phone, and the chat was so full that the screen was jammed. Following the disappearance of Huang Hu, the popularity of his livestream did not decrease. If anything, it soared. He was only one step away from reaching the top. A livestream. Chen Ge had done livestreams before. When he visited the 3rd sick hall, he had learned some techniques. Hello everyone, I am the boss of Western Zhejiang's new Century Park's haunted house, Chen Ge. Can anyone tell me what just happened here? Whenever he introduced his haunted house to the public, Chen Ge would tell everyone which street it was on and which section of the park it was located on. The chat was jammed. After it refreshed several times, Chen Ge had a general idea of what had happened. The livestream host was called Huang Hu, and his nickname was Brother Fox. He claimed to be the descendant of Chuma deity, but he seemed to have run into a real ghost during his livestream. He was so scared that he abandoned his phone and ran away on his own. When he saw the comments saying that the haunted house was really haunted, Chen Ge felt guilty. However, when he saw the popularity of the livestream, his eyes lit up like he had found a treasure. Actually, you've all been tricked by that Huang Hu. How can there be ghosts in this world? I believe everything that happened earlier was planned by him. Once Chen Ge said that, many of Huang Hu's fans started to complain. He did not get angry. He picked up Huang Hu's backpack and soon noticed the problem. Earlier, someone said that Huang Hu has a jade pendant that has been passed down from his ancestors around his neck. It will crack on its own when it comes into contact with ghosts. The jade pendant that came to my haunted house cracked 9 times, but look over here. Chen Ge reached into his backpack to pull out a handful of jade pendants. Some of them had cracks on them. These are the worst quality jade, and this one is not worth much. In front of so many viewers, Chen Ge publicly executed him. That was how open and honorable he was. He placed the jade pendant back into his backpack and opened another pocket. It was filled with a stack of talismans with black letters on a red background. The price tag on the side had not been cut off. These are the talismans that are passed down from his ancestors. The purchase price is 50 cents. Look at how much he's selling them on his Taobao shop. Facts spoke louder than words. Chen Ge put away Huang Hu's things and said into his phone, "How can there be real ghosts inside a haunted house? This is all self-directed by Huang Hu. If you want to see the real haunted house video, you can follow my account." Chen Ge did not feel embarrassed. "My account name is Western Zhujiang's Haunted House, and my profile picture is the front door of my haunted house. I used to livestream for a while, but I've forgotten about it because I was too busy. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely bring you to experience the real haunted house and find the ghost stories that exist in the shadows of the city." Chen Ge took out his phone and logged into the video streaming platform that he had not used for a long time. He started to advertise himself in Huang Hu's livestream. After he said that, the number of followers on his account started to shoot up, and some of the fans in the livestream recognized Chen Ge. "I feel like after this round, the number of followers will break 250,000. The other party had spent a lot of money to help Huang Hu and used the platform to promote Huang Hu. How could Chen Ge waste such an opportunity?" After promoting his personal account, he started to advertise his haunted house. However, probably because the platform that Chen Ge was on was different from Huang Hu's livestream platform, this kind of open advertisement for the enemy platform angered the company. So it did not take long for Huang Hu's livestream to be temporarily banned. Looking at the dark screen, Chen Ge's heart was still empty. Opportunity is indeed given to those who are prepared. If I knew this, I would have spoken faster. Turning off Huang Hu's phone, Chen Ge looked at the number of followers on his account, and he smiled. "This brother has given me a big present. I'll have to thank him later." Putting away his backpack and phone, Chen Ge put on the Dr. Skullcracker's outfit, put on the human skin mask, and picked up the heavy hammer. To thank Huang Hu, Chen Ge decided to go personally to deliver his gratitude. In the end, Chen Ge found Li Shu and Huang Hu inside Li Wan Private Hospital's morgue. Both of them were unconscious, but their vitals were stable, so they did not need to be transferred to the paramedics. The child's handprint on the back of Huang Hu's neck had disappeared. Tong Tong had been manipulating it in the dark to influence their communication. "Go to the underground morgue and get a trolley." Chen Ge dragged the hammer and told the patient next to Li Shu, "Don't worry, I won't blame you. For visitors who use phones inside the haunted house and refuse to learn, you can do whatever you want. After all, we have the best doctors here. When we have more money in the future, I'll import a batch of medical equipment so that we can have our fun." Seeing how open-minded his boss was, the patient quickly nodded and prepared to leave. "Wait a minute." Chen Ge turned back to look. "Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Both of them were intimidated by you alone?" The patient glanced at the mortuary beds that were covered with white cloth. In the end, he nodded his head in a very loyal manner. "Li Wan Private Hospital needs a leader. You're not bad. I'll focus on training you in the future." Chen Ge was not joking. He was a man of action. It's hard to become a red spectre, but becoming a half-red spectre is relatively easy. The patient stood where he was. He had enjoyed scaring the two earlier. The group of ghosts had chased after the two for 10 minutes, and when they really fainted, they realized that they might have gone too far. That scary shadow flashed across his mind. Many patients had escaped, but this honest man had stayed. He actually felt uncomfortable. He had tried his best to satisfy the visitors' needs, but he had not expected the other party to play tricks on him, causing all the patients in the scenario to go on a rampage. Now that something had happened, he felt like he was the main culprit, so he stayed. He was already prepared to be punished, but he did not expect that Chen Ge not only did not criticize him, but also wanted to focus on training him. This kind of psychological contrast made his heart, which was entangled with hatred, have an indescribable strange feeling. "Alright, don't just stand there. Go to the underground morgue to find a cart and push them out of the scenario." The patient ran away happily. Chen Ge squatted down beside Huang Hu and Li Shu and started to inspect them. Li Shu's face is covered with makeup. A visitor came to my haunted house to pretend to be a ghost. Is he trying to scare my employees? Huang Hu came to my haunted house for a live stream and exposed the design of my haunted house before hundreds of thousands of people. Li Shu came into my haunted house to disguise himself as an actor to cause trouble. They have a clear division of labor, so it looks like this is all part of a plan. Chen Ge found a small makeup bag in Li Shu's pocket and an access card to the futuristic theme park. The futuristic theme park was not open yet, so all the attractions were kept secret. To enter, one had to swipe the card. They are indeed related to the futuristic theme park. Chen Ge placed everything back and did not take them with him. The futuristic theme park is opening soon, so I cannot waste any more time. I'll try to release the 4-star scenario on the opening day. Standing up, Chen Ge dragged the hammer and left Li Wan Private Hospital. On the second basement floor of Li Wan City, Shinozaki and his female assistant, Xiao Xia, were tearing at the tape inside the room. This was the mission given to them by Wei Jinyuan, but to their dismay, several minutes ago, Wei Jinyuan's screams that sounded like a pig being slaughtered came from deeper underground. The two were not that brave. Triggered by Wei Jinyuan's screams, their already anxious hearts raced. "Do you want to go down to take a look?" Xiao Xia asked politely, but in reality, her face was filled with resistance. "Forget it. Everyone has their own specialties. Wei Jinyuan said that he works at a haunted house, so I believe he can handle everything on his own." Shinozaki coughed dryly. He had seen the mark on the back of Wei Jinyuan's neck earlier, and he knew that something bad would happen to him. "Then, what should we do now?" Xiao Xia asked a crucial question. Even though Wei Jinyuan did not look like a normal person, being with him gave her a sense of security. Now that Wei Jinyuan had been killed, the two of them needed to face these unknown ghosts on their own. "Don't worry." Shinozaki thought about it and came up with a good idea. "We'll wait here. Wei Jinyuan has a friend in the building next door. He will come when he hears the screams, and we'll follow him." "Okay." Xiao Xia looked at the half-open door, and outside it was the dark corridor. "Should I go and close the door?" "Yes, we'll pretend that there's no one in this room and pay attention to the situation outside through the peephole." "But we've already removed the tape on the door, right? We can't worry about that now." The two closed the door and stood guard at the door. Shinozaki leaned against the door and looked out through the peephole. There was only darkness outside, and he could not see anything. Xiao Xia leaned against the wall, and cold sweat kept pouring down her face. For some reason, she was feeling very nervous, like there was someone else in the room. "Sir, why do you think all the furniture in this room is covered in tape?" "I have no idea," Shinozaki answered casually. He leaned against the door, trying to figure out how to get a better look at the corridor outside. "The tape is to prevent things from cracking on their own, but does this mean that the furniture can move on its own? All the gaps are covered with tape, so do you think the drawers will suddenly open on their own? To prevent that from happening, the owner used the tape to seal the gaps." Xiao Xia still did not realize how scary she was talking about. "Open on their own? Why would the drawers open on their own?" Shinozaki turned around to look at Xiao Xia. "Perhaps there's something hidden inside the furniture, or perhaps there are invisible people in the room, and they will move the furniture around." "Invisible people?" Shinozaki's expression darkened, but he managed to maintain his composure. "This is a good source material for me to draw into my comic." "Not bad, we've only been here for a few minutes, and we've already found 2 material." "Sir, why don't we leave this place? This place feels weird." Xiao Xia looked around anxiously, and she suddenly realized that the DVD player in the living room had been switched on. "That's right, the scarier the better." I have to show those who think I only know how to draw comics that a real comic artist can master any kind of comic. Shinozaki was a hot-tempered person, and other than his comics, he really did not have much else to show, so the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. When we came in, was the DVD player on? Xiao Xia did not pay attention to what Shinozaki said. She looked at the DVD player with confusion, and as she watched, the signal light of the television in the living room also came on. "Quick, look!" Xiao Xia gasped. "Sir, we seem to have triggered something." "Don't panic." Shinozaki signaled for Xiao Xia to calm down, and the two of them slowly walked to stand before the television. "This should be remote control. I've seen this at a Japanese haunted house before. This is not good. That scary haunted house boss is about to make his move on us." Shinozaki inspected the television. Perhaps he had touched something, but the image suddenly appeared on the screen. The cold light fell on the two's faces, and they turned to look at the screen in unison. The quality of the old television was very poor, but the two could tell with one glance that the image on the television was the living room they were in. It looked exactly the same. It was like someone had placed a camera on the television and aimed it at the door of the living room. Surveillance? He installed a surveillance camera in his own home? Shinozaki and Xiao Xia stared at the screen, not daring to move. After 10 seconds, they realized that the image on the screen was still the same. Nothing had changed. To install a surveillance camera in his own home, it means that something strange has happened here, and the owner wants to find out what is going on. Shinozaki pulled open the drawer at the bottom of the television cabinet. It was filled with many CDs without covers. They appeared to have been recorded by the owner himself. The information to escape might be hidden inside these CDs. Shinozaki buried his head in the drawer to look for clues while Xiao Xia stared at the television screen. She kept feeling like there was something moving in the seemingly still image. "Is that a bug?" Xiao Xia took a few steps forward, and her face was almost stuck to the screen. She stared at the bathroom door in the middle of the screen. The door was half open, and on the side of the door frame, several strands of black hair poked out. "It looks like hair." When the television was first turned on, there was nothing in the bathroom, so these few strands of hair were new. Xiao Xia was confused. She was about to call Mr. Shinozaki over to take a look when the few strands of hair on the screen suddenly moved. "The hair is moving." The image quality was very poor. She wanted to confirm it, so she leaned closer. However, just as she leaned closer to the screen, a woman's face suddenly poked out from inside the bathroom. "Ah!" Xiao Xia screamed and jumped onto the sofa in fright. "There's a ghost! Sir, she's on the television, she's on the television." The room was not that big, and it was originally very quiet, but with Xiao Xia's scream, even Shinozaki was spooked. He put down the disc that he was holding and lifted his head to look at the television. On the screen, a woman's face poked out from inside the bathroom. It was a very delicate face, but to Shinozaki's horror, no matter where he was in the room, the face appeared to be looking at him. "It's fine. Don't panic, don't be afraid. This is just a small trap set up by the boss." Shinozaki was starting to lose his composure. He wanted to turn off the television, but he could not find the switch. "Sir, we'd better leave now. We'll come back with more people next time." Xiao Xia was so scared that her face turned pale. She almost couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't use any strength and her legs were weak. That was too scary. "Why don't you stay here and look around? I'll go out first." Xiao Xia held onto the edge of the sofa. She wanted to jump down from the sofa, but when she turned around, she saw. About 2 meters away from her, a woman's face poked out from inside the bathroom. This scene was exactly the same as the one in the video. F***ck. I'm so scared that I'm hallucinating. Xiao Xia turned to look at the television. The video was still frozen at the spot where the woman's head had just poked out from the bathroom. Yes, this is the scene from the television. She turned her head back, and a woman appeared before her. She had delicate features and a beautiful face, but her body was covered in wounds, and blood was dripping from her wounds. The muscles on Xiao Sha's face were twitching. When she fell backward, she used all the energy in her body to scream, "Ghost! There's a ghost!" Shinozaki was still trying to figure out why the woman in the video kept staring at him. He suspected that the woman was using the same technique that Da Vinci used when he painted the Mona Lisa. However, before he could come up with an explanation, he heard Xiao Sha's scream. When he turned back to look, he was also scared out of his wits. The empty room that he had inspected multiple times had suddenly appeared with the addition of a woman covered in blood and wounds. This was more than just a scare, it was a shock. Xiao Sha's warning had given Shinozaki some warning. Even though he was scared to death, he had not lost control of his body. The woman blocked the living room door, and Shinozaki dragged Xiao Sha into the bedroom. Bang! Closing the door, Shinozaki's heart raced. He even had the urge to call the police. What should I do? What should I do? Shinozaki was so scared that he almost forgot that he was inside a haunted house. It took him a long time to recover. Yes, I'm inside a haunted house. He leaned against the door and started to yell at the people outside the room. I've given up, I'm not playing anymore. Please, leave, please, I'm begging you to leave. There was no reply from outside the door, and there was no sound of footsteps. Shinozaki held Xiao Sha, and neither of them dared to be the first to leave. How about we just stay here? After what had happened earlier, Shinozaki did not dare force himself anymore. This haunted house had studied the human heart to the extreme. Other haunted houses would let the visitors relax first and then sneak out to scare them when they were unprepared. This haunted house was different. It would scare the visitors from the start, and after that, it would use a method that was 10 times scarier to scare the visitors from a different angle. In the future, I'll have to invite those cartoonists who look down on me to come in and play. There was no movement outside the room, and Shinozaki did not know what to do next. The female ghost has blocked the door to prevent us from leaving. There has to be a reason for the design of this haunted house. Could it be that there are clues hidden in this bedroom, the only hiding place? After having Xiao Sha block the door, Shinozaki looked into the room, and he suddenly noticed something strange. On the study table in the bedroom, there were drawing papers and several pens of different shapes. G pens? Ballpoint pens? Meticulous brushes? Shinozaki recognized the pens on the table with one glance. G pens are used to draw the main characters. Ballpoint pens are used to draw the details like the patterns on the clothes and eyelashes, and meticulous brushes are used to draw large areas of black. These are all pens that are used to draw comics. Could it be that the owner of this room is a cartoonist? Shinozaki did not expect to run into a fellow cartoonist while visiting a haunted house. He walked to the table and flipped through the drawings. Initially, he did not pay much attention to them, but the more he studied them, the more shocked he became. This is a drawing style that I've never seen before, and the plot design is enough to make one's hair stand on end. The creator of this comic is a genius. Is he trying to create a whole new genre?